Apologies.
Hello. Great, works. I think you just took my speech.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Hey guys, my name is Richard Lee. As what Sherry Rose just said, I was international student, just like some of you. Came to Australia 17 years ago. I was only 16, 17, and I just remember very vividly. I told my parents that I wanted to move to Australia to further my study, and they supported the idea, and I came to this land, and so it was so far it's been pretty good experience. Moving from a foreign country to live here and also to start my business here. So here's a bit about myself. I'm for the past decade I've been building e-commerce businesses. Here in Australia, we built Brossel.com, which is one of the fast-growing homeware furniture online brand. July is also one of the fastest-growing businesses here in Australia. We actually just, you'll see one of the slides later. We actually just got ranked #1 as the fastest-growing by Smart 50. In Australia, which is pretty something I'm really, really proud of. Also, more recently, Pair.com.au. It's a fast-growing apparel brand that's innovating in material tech. So I want to tell you guys. So I'm gonna break today's session into 3 parts. The first part is what I'm doing right now and what is July. So I just want to give you guys some more background about what I do. Some of you might find it interesting because some of the slides are actually just slides in my pitch deck to my investors. So I think hopefully you'll find it useful in your future pitch to investors. The second part of my session, I'm going to talk about the second part. I'm going to just talk about some of the stories, in my entrepreneurial journey, and there's some learnings I found. Hopefully, you'll find it useful as well. And the third part, I hope that we'll have some time for Q&A. That you may have some questions about, building businesses in Australia in general, or things about how to build a business as an international student. So, what is July? July is a D2C travel disruptor. We started the business because we wanted to change the travel category, especially luggage. What we found is that at the time, about 4 years ago, when we look at this category, there hadn't been any innovation in this category. And the last major innovation, I believe it was 1964, 1967. Samsonite put 4 wheels on the box, which is like, I think that was behind we put man onto Earth, which went onto Moon, which is pretty incredible when we found out. And we said, all right, let's do something in this luggage category because we think we can do something better. So me and my co-founder grouped with really talented industrial designer here in Melbourne. We started designing the product. We went to China and we built the product from ground up. And that's where we spent actually the first round of capital. And many people was like, maybe I should spend on business development. Maybe I should spend the money on, hiring people. No, we did not do that. The first investment we got, we spent everything, every dollar, every cent in product development. And that because we believe in the product, because if the product is great, it will sell by itself. So why do we start the business? So we thought at the time the opportunity was very simple because if you look at the travel category or luggage category, they're two spectrum. They're two extreme on the spectrum. So there's a very expensive products like, for example, Louis Vuitton, Rimowa. Those ones are going to cost you $2,000, $3,000, even $5,000 for a case. There's also the other end of the spectrum, which is super cheap product that's probably going to break after 1 or 2 trips. There wasn't many people in between. We call it accessible luxury or affordable luxury brand. That's when we thought there's an opportunity in that segment of the market, which is a huge market, especially post-pandemic, because everyone want to spend a little bit more, treat themselves a little bit better, which was very, very good for us, which is super advantage to us. And why do we do now, and why do we do D2C? Because what we found is that, especially at this time when we started the business, retail giants like Samsonite or even Strandbags, in this category, they basically use the massive distribution network and basically dumping products to all the stores and sell it at a very high price and then at a massive discount all the time. And all the products is cheaply made in order to maximize their profit. And in the end, they break after 1 or 2 trips. It's expensive. The product is not great, and it's not really good for the environment. And we, as a D2C brand, we were able to look at customer feedback. We were able to read all the reviews online. We were able to make tweaks to the design as we wanted, because we're able to as a D2C brand. That was our advantage, and that's why we thought there was an opportunity in the category. And so far, we've had huge growth for the past 4 years. We launched our business late 2018 or beginning of 2019. And then within the first 6 months, we opened our first brick-and-mortar store as the first pop-up store in Emporium Shopping Center. It was a success. And within the same year, we actually raised our first round of Series A of $10 million from investors at the back of the growth of the business. And then, within the next couple of years, we launched personalization on our products and more retail stores and more, innovative products. In between, we even actually, during COVID, when we were in massive lockdown, travel restriction, basically restricted in Australia, we actually launched our business in China in 2020, which was very interesting because when we were generating almost zero revenue in Australia, we were generating some revenue in China where travel was still happening. So this is what I was saying before. Only last week, July just got ranked #1 of Smart 50's list, being one of the fast-growing SMEs in Australia, which is something I'm very, very proud of. And this is one of our beautiful stores in Melbourne. So if you guys haven't had a chance to visit our store, please do so because they're nice, they're beautiful, and you probably will find, you probably will just replace your current suitcase, on the spot. So we have 2 stores. Now, we have 2 stores in Melbourne. About a couple of weeks ago, we just opened our 3rd pop-up store in 80 Collins Street, which is super nice, super beautiful. And in Sydney, we have another retail store. And retail has been one of the biggest growth drivers for our business, which is really nice to see. Now, as a wise man, Steve Jobs, once said, you cannot connect dots looking forward, but you can only connect by looking backwards. And this is what I'm gonna do today, which is looking backwards on some of the stories, in my life, some of the stories, especially as an international student, in Australia. What were some of the things happened to me probably made who I am today? And I always have this belief that if I can become successful, I think everyone can become successful. Because I came here, did not speak much English. I learned most of my English here, and I did not have rich parents, and I did not have any connection here in Australia. So I think if I can be successful, everyone can. So I'm going to share a couple of stories in my entrepreneurial journey, and hopefully they're interesting. So the first story actually was my first year in my Melbourne Uni. That was 2007, my first year in my commerce faculty. And as you can see, what I put there, sometimes you have to break the rules in order to create something or make your own rules. So I definitely don't encourage you to copy what I, just learn what I did, because I don't think that's good. But I still want to share the story, and because I think it's fun. The first year in business, first year in uni, like many of you, probably started working, and I was actually doing tutoring, to year 12, year 11 students, because I was really good at math, and I was earning some really nice, cash on the side while I was doing uni, in Melbourne Uni. But I thought it's really hard to scale. I'm only making, like $25, $30 per hour. Is that a way to make a little bit more on the side? And one day, I found that in university system, you can actually, I saw some of the lecturer or professors sending emails to entire faculty by putting a group email in the email address. I was like, that's pretty cool. That means I can reach out to entire faculty by inserting, those group emails. And if I can connect people who want to be tutored and to the people who want to become a tutor, I think I can make money in between. And that's what I did. So what I did was first I sent an email to the entire faculty and said, hey guys, I suck at this subject. I need some help. I need some serious help. Anyone who are willing to help. So almost instantly, I got like 50, 100 emails and people emailing me back and say, hey, I was really good. I did like 98. I did high school on this subject. I'm really good. I can help you out. And then what I did is I sent them I almost pretend to be one of the, working in the faculty, working in the university. I sent them a form to fill out, basically to complete my database. So I basically had like high performance students who can help with math, accounting, marketing, everything. Then I send a similar email to the entire faculty and say, hey, I was really good at this subject. Anyone need help? And then there are people coming back to me and say, hey, I need help. I need help in accounting. And basically, I was just making connections between those two group of people, and I started making money. And I think in year one, I was making like $2,000, $3,000 a week just by connecting people, because everyone was willing to pay me, those money, because I was actually doing something good for them. But university did not like that. The university did not like I was making money on the side, and I was abusing the system. So what happened is they blocked my portal. They blocked my email. For 3 months straight, I wasn't able to access all my assignments, all my subjects. I wasn't able to. And as a result, I failed one of the subjects. And as you guys know, international students, redoing the subject is super expensive. It's like, I remember it was like, at that time, probably more expensive now. At that time, it was like $4,000 a subject to do it in summer or summertime. So I thought that's probably, when you do the math, it's probably not worth it. I have to spend time, have to spend money to redo the subject. It's not worth it. But I learned something. In that process, is that if you think just like everyone else, you will not build a great business. You have to think outside the box. You have to think differently, even it means sometimes you have to break the rules to make your own rules. But but from that time, you have to understand where the parameters are, and as long as you're doing within those parameters, within legal framework, I think you can do a lot of amazing things. And that's what I learned, and that's my first story. The second one is as you guys can see, is be a curious problem solver. That comes to my second story, how I started the furniture online business. That was in 2018. That was 2012. In that year, because I was after university, I started my first online business by selling products on eBay. I was importing products from China and list them on eBay. I started making some money, and I thought, now probably time to upgrade my furniture. I was always using IKEA furniture. It was nice, but I want something better. I want to treat myself a little bit more. So I went to the furniture stores on Church Street, and I found, wow, I never knew a sofa would cost $2,000, $3,000. And more than that, you have to wait for 12 to 18 weeks. And I was told by the sales guys that even though they say 12 to 18 weeks, there's a chance that you may have to wait even further if there's a shipment delay. And because I'm from China, I have a lot of connection in China. And in fact, some of my friends, actually, their family run factories, furniture factories. I thought, why don't I just call them and ask them how much it will cost and how much it will cost to produce a sofa? And it was crazy to find out that a sofa that cost $3,000 would only cost $150 to $200 to make. I was like, that's a massive difference from $200 to $3,000. How did that happen? And I found out because all these traditional retailers, they have to pay really high rent. They have to pay a lot of salespeople, and they have a lot more overheads, to cover all the cost. And on top of that, they want to make their 50, 60% of margin. And it was at that time, I thought, what if there's a way that we can sell without showroom, without physical showroom, without salespeople, their commission, and we can just put everything online, and on that website, this can be an unlimited, size of showroom. You can just have thousands of different type of sofas, thousands of different type of beds. You don't have to be limited by the square meterage of a showroom. That's where this idea, came from. So we came up with the name, Brosa. Brosa is actually Icelandic language. It means smile because we want to deliver smile, and we want to be able to, pass on the savings to customers. And because we were vertically integrated, we did not need to have so many people in between. All we need to do is just make sure that we have a beautiful design, and make sure we fill out a container, make sure we have a good way to deliver the product from the warehouse all the way to our customers. And that's how we started the business. It was a simple idea, and now it's going very, very well. And this is one of our facilities in Melbourne. We have two massive warehouses where we, ship products directly to our consumers. And after 9 years in business, I would say Brosa has become a brand that a lot of people love, a lot of people know, and certainly a lot of people have purchased from. And it's something it's something I'm really, really proud of. Now, coming to my third story, it's something about customer obsession. I think if you want to build a great business, you have to be obsessed with your customers. You have to be, you have to be passionate about what you do, and otherwise you're just not going to be successful. You got to do what you love. So this story I've never told anyone. Obviously people around me know the story, but I hope that you'll find it interesting. So this is a story about fundraise. This is a story about fundraise. This is a story about customer satisfaction and everything. So the story was very simple. In 2019 August, we got a call from the US, and this person is the CTO of one of the largest corporations in the world called Fox News. And we're like, shit, what did we get into? And basically the guy was like, oh, we like your business, and we'd love to see if you are interested in having a chat with my boss, Lachlan Murdoch. Well, like, of course, Lachlan Murdoch is one of the most powerful men, and we were just like surprised to see that he's interested in a luggage startup from Melbourne. At that time, we were doing nothing. We're doing very, very small revenue. We had a very small team. I believe it was only 3 of us, me, my co-founder, and like one more staff. So we connected with the Lachlan Murdoch, and he said, I like what you guys are doing. can you guys, do you guys want to catch up in my house in Sydney next week because I'm coming back? I was like, yeah, of course, having lunch with one of the richest men on earth, of course, we would love to do that. But I didn't want to go there just for one lunch. And happen to have a customer have a lock issue with a suitcase because she couldn't open a newly purchased July suitcase for whatever reason. So what we did is that we have a lunch at 12, and I set up this repair work at 3 p.m. on the same day. We had a beautiful lunch in Lockyer Murdoch house. Of course, you would expect nothing less in his house with private chef, with a beautiful meal. And after lunch, after this beautiful lunch, I went straight to the customer house to try to fix a lock. And apparently, what happened was there was a small issue with the little lock, but I managed to fix the lock. She was so happy about it. She said, "Hey, Richard, this is great. Do you mind if I take a photo of you with my dog, Murphy?" I said, "Of course, I don't mind. Can I post it on Instagram?" I said, "Yeah, sure. I don't care, right? I don't care." So that's the photo that she took. She posted that night on Instagram. But what happened afterwards was something truly amazing. She sent me a message that night, and she said, after I posted this photo on my Instagram, my sister messaged me. She said, "This person looked very familiar." And it happened that Anne, her sister, so the customer's sister, happened to be the head chef in Lockyer Murdoch house that's serving the beautiful lunch. And we just couldn't believe this. And I think somehow the story went to Lockyer Murdoch. And I think that entire story made the entire investment very smooth. They did not do any very, very deep due diligence. And in the end, we just got the investment, just like that. So I think the story is just telling me that if you are truly obsessed with your customer, if you're truly obsessed with what you do, I think sometimes magic could happen. And last but not least, there's a quote that we put on every box that we ship on our product. It says, "Nothing to lose and a world to see." And this is the quote I want to give you guys. And there's nothing to lose. Just explore the world and try. Give it a try. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Richard. Can we give it one more round of applause? Because honestly, I think we can all take quite a few lessons from that. Before, I did ask you to put your hand up if you're an international student, not because I don't know that there are a lot of international students here, just because this is actually a space where, as I said, I hope that you can truly be inspired. Yeah. Now, we're going to take some audience questions. Yeah. So I'm going to open up the floor. Some of you would have put them on Slido. If you had the link, if you want to jump on the link, you're welcome to do that. But also, if you'd like to just raise your hand, we're happy to take floor questions. There's someone with a mic. Yeah. I think there's someone here. Okay. Yeah.
Hey, thank you for that. That was amazing.
Thank you.
I'm really fascinated about that process. Obviously, the July luggage is like a very particular, striking design. You were very passionate about that design. What kind of stages of prospective customer testing and research did you do to sort of through that design process to end up with that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. It's a tough one because if you design something, you spend a lot of money on it, and it turned out to be not that desirable to customers, you would lose your $250,000 on it. It was really, really tough. So we went through many phases. I mean, the first one is we did a lot of we went online. We basically read thousands of reviews from our competitors, and we were like, okay, there are positive reviews, but I'm not interested in positive reviews. I'm interested in negative reviews. where were the things that went wrong? At that time, when we were looking at the suitcase, corners were the weakest point. They were always dense on the corners. The wheel make a lot of noise. The shell just it's too easy to get damaged. And the surface will get scratches. And the handle is too flimsy. There's so many little things we try to improve. I think that's from the function side of things. And from the aesthetic perspective, I think it's super important. We hired a very talented designer, and we're heavily involved in the process. And we went through multiple stages of iteration of the design in order to produce something we think that we would like to buy. Our family would love to buy. Our friends would love to buy. We had like maybe 3 or 4 different designs. In the end, we picked the one we all had confidence in. That's what we did. And we did that in a relatively short period of time because we wanted to launch December, which is Christmas time, 2018. But we did not do it in time, so we started pre-selling. So that's another story, yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Richard.
Hey.
I came a little bit late because of work, so I don't know if you've covered this or not, but what was one of the biggest setbacks and challenges that you had in setting up Julie and Barassa, and how did you overcome it? What was the mindset that you had behind it, and what could you share for the rest of us to incorporate into our own mindset?
So basically the biggest challenge when I set up business, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest challenge, I want to cover 2 things. The first one is what people think the biggest challenge. I believe most people will say it's money, because I don't have money, therefore I cannot set up a business. I think that's the biggest misconception. I don't think you need to have money to start a business. If you are creative, you can always find ways to do it. We started Barassa business with $500. We did not have $1 million in our bank to start that business because we went to our supplier, we told them the story, we told them our vision, our plan. They were very supportive. They gave us a really good term. We started selling online first. We started collecting the money. Then we pay our supplier. We were able to run on a negative cash cycle. We did not need external capital to fund the business. So I think that's the first one. I think most people will think the challenge is money. I don't believe it's money. I think not having money to start a business it's usually an excuse to people. Like, oh, I need money to start. I don't think so. In fact, it's the opposite. Many startups, they fail because they have too much money. They don't know how to, use the money, and they don't have the good financial discipline. My personal challenge when we started was, I think, not so much challenge. I think the biggest challenge I found at the time was slow start. You always question whether you are on the right path. You always question whether you're doing everything right. Can we grow a little bit faster? I think those are the things in the early days. But I think being a founder, being a startup, you have to believe in your vision. You have to be patient. You have to do many things at one time. You cannot give up very easily. Sometimes it will take about a year or even 2 years for you to start seeing the traction. That's, I think, my observation.
Any other questions at the front?
Hello, Richard.
Hey.
And literally, I'm amazed by the work that you have done. And as an international student who is, having these big dreams to work on startups, and I'm working on a startup right now, so I definitely got the motivation boost that I needed.
Great.
And yeah, so coming to my question, as you said, there are of course things there are setbacks when you are starting up and whatnot. So, as I am also starting up and have met people who are doing startups, so there is this uncertainty that's there. And as you said a bit back, there is okay, so what will happen, what will not happen? And different entrepreneurs have different ways to dealing with those anxieties. And even though you are confident in your idea and there is optimism, in the end we are humans, so uncertainties and anxiety can hit us.
Yeah.
So did you have any personal how should I say things that you did to lessen your anxiety, or anything that you specifically did that's unique to you that made you more comfortable and put you, through those uncertainties?
Yeah, for sure. Find a co-founder. I think that's the biggest one, because that's what I found. Building business is not just about building empire, building, like making a lot of money. I think you have to enjoy what you do. You have to enjoy the journey. So, the famous Jobbox story, right? When, when the founder of Jobbox, Houston, went to YC, tried to apply, and he got told he cannot be accepted because he's a sole founder. So he had to find a co-founder within a couple of days. And I believe in a theory, because when you have a co-founder, everything is just so enjoyable because you can push each other. When you have self-doubting, the other person can help you. And I think that's my biggest advice, because I admire those people who can build business themselves, but I just think it's a lot more fun when you have a co-founder or co-founders. Yeah.
I'd like to give the floor, the opportunity for others, if that's okay. But thank you for your question.
Okay.
It would be great, maybe if we have time after, just so that others can also have the opportunity. Thank you, though.
We can also chat later.
There is a hand up the back here, and then to you, sir.
Hi, Richard. Thank you for your amazing presentation. My question is, for a startup at the very early stage, it seems like your sales were quite high, and it was sort of sales-led growth and not really any huge capital getting injected in, but it seemed like the product was just selling really well from the very start. What do you think the reason was? Was it the positioning, as you said before, you really positioned your product well in the sort of luggage market? Or was it because you were a great seller? You were incredible at doing social media, or you were great at talking to people and convincing them that this is the product to go for?
Yeah. I think what we did right early days when we started July is that you have to know how to leverage. You have to know how to leverage your family network, your friends, your network. You have to do everything. So very early on, when you did not have capital, you cannot spend too much money on marketing. You have to find ways. You have to find almost put it plainly, I think you have to find free ways to get traffic, free ways to get sales. And what that means is that hustle, email them, talk to them, and I know that the first 10 press releases probably did not spend $1. You send a product to the editor. You send a product to someone that has 100,000 followers on Instagram. Just do that. You never know what's going to happen, and that's what we did early days, and that helped a lot. But over time, when you're 100% sure about your market fit, and when you know that you got something on hand that people truly love, that's the time you can start investing. Investing in your marketing, investing in your team, investing in your product categories, investing in your technology, even investing in stores. And that's what we did. So early days is super hard. I would say even early days, I had some, self-doubt, whether we have the product right. But I think if you truly believe in it, if you truly try hard, hustle enough, you will get your answer. And that's what we did. Yeah. Thank you.
Great. I think time's up. Can we push for one more? No? So thank you to everybody so far. Thank you. Can we please give a huge round of applause to Richard?
Thank you so much, guys.
I'm going to ask Richard to stay on the stage because, believe it or not, we do have a door prize. Thanks to July. We do have a door prize. So each of you has the opportunity right now to win our door prize. I think someone's about to step onto the stage. And I'm going to ask Richard to do the honors.
It's only for people who actually attended tonight. So if number, if I call out the number and someone's not here, we'll do it again.
We're going to keep going until we find someone in the room.
Cool. All right. I'm going to announce Richard. I got my own suitcase. Purple 40. Anyone? Purple F40.
Hey!
Great.
Woo! Please come up to the front.
Great.
Oh yeah, maybe I just get a photo, shake his hand, and yeah, I think that's the photo.
I'm actually on a trip to Sydney next week, so I will use my new suitcase.
There you go.
It's going to be a voucher, so it's not physical yet. It's just a photo. Yeah.
So you will receive your suitcase later on. Thank you so much, Richard. Was there anything else you wanted to say before
No,
we
I
let
just
you go?
want to thank everyone who came today, and whatever part of the journey that you're in, I wish you best of luck. And I think the most important thing in my startup experience is that there will be self-doubt sometimes. You just have to keep going and don't give up easily. And I think you'll make it. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Richard.